All right, we are live.
All right, folks. Today I'm tuning in from my hotel here at ICAST, and we're still going to let the party roll on. We're going to talk a little bit about summer fishing today. We're going to get into some of the misconceptions. Y'all know I always talk about this in the app. Talk about how the bass are not reacting to the environment the way you do as a human. When you walk outside and you feel that 107 on the back of your neck, the bass are not feeling that and saying, "Oh my God, let me go deeper," or "let me go under a shade tree." Just the same way that you see birds or bugs or ants, they don't ever do that in the summertime. They don't say, "Oh, it's hot, let me go get in a hole." They keep doing their thing because they live in their environment. So we're going to talk about how you can target summertime bass. This is a real life trip between Nathan Sipes and I. You guys know I usually take at least one person fishing a month here within the app, and so I've been trying to work with Nathan for quite some time. Most of it was on my end. I just had a bunch of tournaments and events coming up all at once. We finally got to go fishing at Clark's Hill, and we only had a few hours, but I really liked the way that trip played out because fishing's tough in the South. When you get to July, fishing is really not that much fun. It's not that much fun, and it will not be fun for quite some time here. With outside of a few things that could potentially happen, it's just fishing's not going to be not much to write home about for a while. So it was cool to have something where we could actually get in here and put the pieces of the puzzle together in just a short period of time. I uploaded that particular vlog to the app earlier this week. I hope y'all watched it. I know those are usually the least watched vlogs, so that's why I wanted to dive deeper into it, because what usually happens is the things that I address when I do the workshops, the pre-recorded stuff, typically those are the questions that show up in the here in the chat. So I want to do a deeper dive into that today. I wrote down a few notes. We got some screenshots, and we have a few video clips. Um, what did I want to talk about before I got started here? So I know what it is. Y'all inspired me a couple weeks ago when you did the roundtable, the community roundtable. If you're new to the app and you're watching live today, we have what we call the community roundtable. It's live just like this, but it's everybody in the app basically on a Zoom call, and everybody gets to contribute and talk and share about their fishing experience as well. We just did one where you guys showed your rig, whether that was a kayak, a bass boat, a john boat, or whatever the case may be. You show your rigs off and show what accessories you have on your boats. And so I wanted to continue with that and do this series where we just talk about is it worth it? Because there's a lot of boat accessories. I'm about to walk tomorrow. I'm about to have to walk around in this convention hall here at ICAST, and there's going to be so many freaking new things. Some of it's bullcrap. Some of it's really cool, and only a few things actually help you. There's a lot of stuff that's really cool that's all it is. It's just cool, and that's where it stops. And so I want to do something here in the app where you get to tell your side of the story of something you bought and what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what was good and what wasn't. Michael, is it fuzzy on your end? Or is that just me? It might be just on my end.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it we had a little hiccup.
yeah, it went away, didn't it? Okay.
Yep.
But we're gonna do that. And I want to see. So I have a live schedule for next Monday. I want you to do this in the community section. If you would be, what do you guys think about hosting basically another roundtable on Monday? I would love to see this be the biggest roundtable ever. Like so big that nobody well, you just have to wait till next time because you didn't get to talk because there was so many people on the roundtable. But I'd love to do a roundtable on Monday where we do the same thing again. Just bring one product. We're gonna do a show and tell. Y'all remember in kindergarten? Most of y'all old enough to remember in kindergarten, you had show and tell. You brought something. You're gonna be like, yeah, and I like this water because I like the label. Y'all do that. We may have to give some of y'all a time period though, because I just know what I know. I just know what I know, and that's all I'm gonna say. We'll give you a designated time period where everybody can explain, hey, I bought this, I like this about it, it uses this much battery life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would you buy it again? Maybe we should do this. We should come up with a template of questions, like of 5 questions that you answer about that one product that you want to bring to the Is It Worth It panel. What do y'all think about that? Next week I'll be at the St. Lawrence River, and I still wanted to do that live on Monday, but I don't, the likelihood, that's a practice day. I'll probably still be on the water at 8. So I'd like to see if you guys would like to host the live to keep the ball rolling, because I think that's really valuable content and conversation for everybody. If you're watching on Facebook, you might as well come in the app. This is a good place to get all kind of information. Not only we teach you how to fish, but we talk about good stuff that you can buy, and we tell you not to buy the bad stuff here in the app. So let's do this, Mike. Let's jump right into it. It really doesn't matter the order of the slides tonight. Let's start off with those slides. It really doesn't matter, to be honest with you. Summer fishing. I want y'all to answer here. I'm gonna get in the app too. Throw these in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, I answer questions here on the Straight Up Fishing app. If you're watching on Facebook, that's what it looks like. If you can see it. It's a little darker than usual where I'm at today, just because I am in my hotel room and they don't have the best lighting. I could move over there to the kitchen, but I think it's okay. Y'all don't need to see me that much. Just pay attention to these slides right here. Okay. Summer fishing. Let's talk about this. I want to see if y'all really listen to me. When we get to summertime, when Nathan and I went fishing on this particular trip that we're talking about here, the water temperature was between 91 and 94 degrees. 91 to 94 degrees. It just got really hot here in the last 3 weeks in South Carolina. When we get to August, you could be seeing some water temperatures between 97 to 100 degrees in the creeks. Okay. I want to see how much y'all actually listen to me. When the water temperatures rise like that, I remember, I think Kevin telling me that the water temperature, even up north, was in the upper 80s, which is really high for there. Can y'all let me know? Do fish go deep? Because it is now hot. Now, this is a very subjective question, because I know for you guys that live up north, there is some truth to that in the northern tier of the country, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason that that works up north, and there's a reason it does not work in the south. Do they go deep? What's the deal there? Tell me what it is. I want to know if y'all are paying attention to me, because I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people do. They don't go deep, guys. They don't all go deep. Most of them won't be deep. So on a lake like Clarks Hill, this is a deep water lake. I don't know what the average depth on it or what the deepest point of Clarks Hill is, but all on the Savannah River chain, all those lakes are pretty much the same. For the most part, there's a little bit of topography change from lake to lake, but for the most part, they're all the same. If you're fishing deeper than, you can catch them on maybe some brush piles in deep 20 to 25, possibly, potentially, maybe. When you start getting over 30, for sure, it's dead zone. And most of the time nowadays, when you start to get below 15, you're pretty much fishing for spotted bass, which is not a bad thing anymore. You used to think that was a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. It's just that's what you're going to be fishing for. But your largemouth are going to be 15 foot and shallower. They're just, the life is. There's this thing that we have in our lakes and reservoirs, thermocline. And so below that point, you'll be able to see it on your graph, especially 2D sonar. You can see it really good. There's going to be a point of depth in the lake where there's no more oxygen. It's oxygen depleted deep. So there's no life, there's no bait, there's no nothing. Everything's in the top part of the water column. Doesn't mean you can't catch fish on the main lake in over deep water, suspended over deep water. But for the most part, the fish are going to be in the top third of the water column, no matter where you are. And so that works for us. The one thing that I do, I've been notorious for doing this because it's a little easier than trying to catch fish on the main lake and brush and over timber and the things, making it hard here. If you live on the Tennessee River, maybe you got to find them over current or ledges, and you know how they only can go to certain places, and everybody knows what certain places is because of mapping now. Mapping has made offshore fishing, it has made it easier, and it has also made it harder. I'm gonna say that again. Mapping, current day mapping. Everybody's fussing about forward facing sonar, but you know what has really caused a lot of pressure on our fish is current day mapping. Because everybody knows where the humps are. Everybody knows where the underwater islands are. Everybody knows where the river channel bends are. Everybody knows, everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. Back in the day, you had to idle around. I literally remember moving around in my boat. I would grit off a creek and just like, not on plane, but you know, you just fast idle. And I'd grit off a creek and I'd find humps and ditches. And I used to do that all the time. I'd spend a day or two just doing that and then come back and fish it the next week. But now you literally can look at a map and say, oh, river channel cuts in around this island here. The only place I need to fish is right here at these 15, 20, 30, 40 yards. Couldn't do that before. So since we can do that, it's made fishing easier, yet all the good places get a lot of pressure because everybody sees everything. So the way I escape that reality is by going creek fishing. It's my scapegoat. I'm being honest with you, it's a little bit easier. I don't have to spend as much time idling like I just told you. Back in the day, I'd spend days looking for spots. But sometimes these fish don't get as much pressure because everybody in their mind thinks hot weather, the fish must be in open water over deep water. There are fish on every body of water that live in the creeks. And the screen that you're looking at below here is of a creek that I love to fish. It's actually a river arm. And the reason you want to focus on these areas right now, there's one reason you want to focus on them, is because of moving water. Moving water will put oxygen on the water. Oxygen in the water, you're going to have more bait, you're going to have more shad, you're going to have more crawfish, you're going to have more brim, you're going to have more life all together. Bass, everything. Bass, brim, crappie, gar, carp. Just the life will be in these stretches, upper stretches. And when I say upper stretches, listen, I'm not talking about just going where the water starts to turn a little different color. I'm talking about going up in the boondocks where you don't want to be at dark. You can't really tell it by this aerial, but I'm up in the coon freaking cow. I'm up in the yada yada. Okay? Long way up the river, up this way. That's where you want to be fishing now, to escape the reality of what you got to do on the main lake. Now, I mentioned why we want to fish it. It's because of oxygenated water. You remember in the springtime, you know how I talk about in the springtime, we fish the northern end of the lake a lot of times, but the problem with fishing those northern ends in the springtime is because they're volatile. In the springtime, you get a lot of rain. Rain causes a lot of flow. When you get a lot of flow, what we refer to is the rivers blow out. They get muddy because all that new rainfall is coming into the system. This is the headwater system, the headwater of the rivers. All that rain's coming into those areas in that particular portion of the lake. During the summer, that works for us because of what I just said. When we do get some rain, which we don't get much, when we do get rain, it's coming from these upper stretches. oxygenates the water. There's moving water there. There's more life there. I know I've tried this 1,000 times. I go to these same places in January, February, March, and I cannot catch a bass up there. Cannot catch a bass up there. January, February, March, April. It'll be, oftentimes it's not until June, sometimes late May, but June. Whenever that rain slacks off a little bit, the fish start to work their way up the rivers. There is a migratory pattern that starts to work their way up those rivers. Okay, one thing you're going to see in this clips that I'm going to show you of Nathan and I fishing is there's a big difference. Okay, I want to talk about when you get up to the rivers, where are you going to go now? Brian, you taught me how to get up these rivers. What am I going to do now? You're going to see a bunch of stuff. You're going to see laydowns, rocks, riprap. There could be bridges. Sometimes there's docks up there. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you can fish. What do you do now? A lot of it has to do, especially in the summer, the water level. So let me know, do y'all have the lakes that you fish? Do you have I'm watching the comment section here. So let me know if you have a lot of water fluctuation. So where I live, if it doesn't rain, which we won't, the water levels will drop all the way until about November. They will continue to drop. Hydroelectric lakes, we're using more power because it's hotter and it's not raining. And so the lakes will continuously drop in level unless we get a hurricane. Usually our driest period is between July and 1st of November, October. It's not going to rain. Unless we get in a weird weather pattern, it is not going to rain. Now, depending on what your water level is, and this is what this slide is about, it determines where these fish set up in these places. So you can see to the right of this screen, I've got some red areas circled. And what those are just two of the creek turns in this particular creek. And on low water, I like to focus on the main creek and creek turns where it runs into a bank and it's just deep close to that bank. That's all I like to. It's simple as that. That's why I go to this. Okay, so you can see I circled to the far right. That would be the main creek. You see how you kind of had to go whittle your way through there and make a little sachet to the right and then sachet back to the left. All that section right in there is usually really good when the water's low. And you see another little area I circled right there, like on the top left. That bank probably doesn't look like that much to you, but that is also a creek turn bank. I probably could circle more than that. But you see how the channel comes in there and it swings right up against that bank. That bank's deep, and there's always laydowns, and there's actually a little rock pile on there. But the main thing I'm trying to show you is that's the stuff that I focus on in the event that you go in your creek and the water's down, it's low. What low is going to fluctuate depending on what kind of body of water y'all have. If you're on the Mississippi River and it's a foot low, that is low. But Clarks Hill, Savannah River chain, Carolinas, Georgia, North Carolina, 5 or 6 foot low. To me, for this style of fishing where I live, 3 to 5 foot is a sweet spot. 3 to 5 foot low. When it's high like what it is now, I don't think it's as good. Too much stuff. If you watch the vlog with Nathan and I made mention of that. The water is way higher this year than it was last year. Where Nathan and I fished is the same place that I fished when Brian Barty gave me that rod that he made for me. It's the same stuff. It doesn't even look the same. I got bushes in the water, willow bushes and trees, and it's stuff everywhere. Last year was about 5 foot low, and it fished completely different. So when the water's low, creek turns, creek channel bends, the holes, the deeper water in and around the shallow water. So when I say deeper water, I'm not talking about going 15, 20, 20 foot deep. You're still going to be fishing shallow, but the deepest water in close proximity to the shallow water. These creek channel bends and turns that you see on the map. Now, on the left side there, I'm gonna get to the lures, Mac. I'm gonna get to spinning for this bait caster. We're gonna get to all of that. And if you watched the vlog, like I'm telling you, you saw exactly what I was fishing. You guys really should watch. There's some gold in that. You get to see it happen in real time. I did not go practice. Nathan, the video with Nathan, I didn't go practice that. Picked out a place to fish, and we put the boat in, and we went fishing, and then we let it come to us. Only part I hate about the vlog is about 28 minutes long, and we went 2 hours without a bite. 2 hours without a bite before we got our first bite. All right, let's look over here. Look to the left. You see the bright green, the chartreuse looking circle? Right now, that's the kind of stuff that the fish are using. That's what I found that the fish were using the other day. But more backwater. You see how it's more of a backwater? And more particularly, you see these arrows. They're pointing to wood that is pushed up on these mud flats. These flats are not deep, guys. 2 foot, 3 foot deep flats, little oxbows, little bayous, as Cajun Baby Clip Crochet would say. These are little bayous, little bayous, little swamps, little coves. The water's high now, and that's where it's pushed those fish back into this stuff. Because that's why we didn't get a bite for 2 hours, is because I was focusing on this low water stuff, just fishing history like we always do as fishermen. When in all actuality, they were on these bayous, these little bays. It's shallower back in there, very flat. And so think about places that you may have where you fish, where you could run up the river or the creek and get in some skinnier water. When you get a rainfall, where's the most flow at on your home lake? I want you to think about that right now. On your home body of water, somewhere you plan to fish soon, or if you've been struggling fishing, think about a creek, think about a river that feeds that lake, and I want you to go there. Some of you kayak guys already do this, but we're going to refine that process a little bit. My bass boat guys tend to do crazy stuff. And my kayak guys tend to do crazy stuff in the springtime. It's like, bro, you're not coming up here in the spring and getting a bite. I know you can get in places that everybody else can't get. Doesn't matter. You know why you're getting in them places? There ain't no fish back there in the winter. In the summer, they're back there because of all of the reasons that we're talking about. Okay, those arrows are pointing to laydowns, wood, bushes that are out in the middle of those coves. Mike, let's go to the next screen. Hey, I didn't see this, Michael. I didn't see I could share my own screen on here. It's just like Zoom, isn't it?
You can try it.
Yeah, I didn't know I could do this. Yeah, I just didn't know. I don't think I got the thing pulled up on my deal. Yeah, I just didn't know. I probably will do that. I probably will do that. Yeah. I just didn't know. I didn't know. I literally just now saw that. I've never, as much as I've been on here, I've never seen that before.
Maybe it's not an option on the phone. You're on your laptop, right?
Yeah, I'm on a laptop. I use my laptop a lot. I don't know when the last time I did use it, but I use it a lot. We may do that. I'm pulling up the map now, so it'll just give me the leverage to move around a little bit more, you know. We may do that. Boy, I'm gonna talk y'all's head off tonight if I could let me pull this map up. Y'all gonna be tired. It's like I was on the live. I had to get off how much he was talking to me tonight. Heck yeah, I can pull it up. Okay, let me go back. I do remember this. So this is good because we're gonna test this, guys. The last time I tried to do this, it's like my computer couldn't keep up with everything. So you'll be able to tell me, Mike, if it does that again. We're gonna try this. Share entire screen. I want to go here. Okay, so this is one of the areas. So one of the areas I was just showing you. I want to show you what you want to be focusing on. Can you guys see that?
Give me a quick second.
Yeah. I messed that up. I had a good flow going, then I messed it up for us.
All right. There.
Is it
Now you
going?
should be sharing your screen.
Okay. And the audio, just let me know if the audio gets to acting funky, because that's what it was doing one time when I was. Okay. So this is the little backwater bayou that I was literally just showing you, and I had it all marked up. I was showing you the fish. Like, see how the creek comes in here, follow my cursor, say it comes in here, and it whoop swings to get in that bank. That's a good one. And then it cuts back. It actually cuts back over here. That's what I love about aerial images. See how that's land. So it comes in here and it goes around in here. This is also a good bank to fish on low water. Right now, not so much. Right now, the deal is getting back in these bayous like this. And you see how see that piece of wood, whatever that is? See that right there? You're going to see that's actually what we ended up catching our fish on, is this stuff that was detached from the bank. All these laydowns like right here, nada. Nobody at home. I fished them and fished them and fished them. They were not on that stuff. But as soon as I found anything that was detached from the bank, I'll show it to you. See how that's detached from the bank? Look at that. See this? That was the juice. Look at that right there. And so if I was practicing for a tournament, keep in mind, you won't always see everything on the aerials when you're looking at it on Google Earth. You can get an idea where there's more stuff pushed up in this area than another area, but I wouldn't count on being able to see everything off of aerial in these, because some of the places I caught fish, they don't that I didn't see that stuff on the map. Okay, let's look at this. So let's see. There's a log jam right here. See, like there's a log jam right here. You can't even see it. Okay, I'm gonna go back to let's go back, Mike. Let's see, how do I turn this? I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Is that okay or no?
You want to go back to
Probably shouldn't have.
you full screen?
Yeah, I'm back full screen now. Yeah, you can go back to that. Go back to
yeah, if you do the screen share, you don't have to unscreen share.
Okay.
I can swap back and forth and all that.
Okay, so you want me to take it back to screen share?
If you're if you think you might use that again.
I probably will. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll just keep it on. I probably will. Allow to share screen. Share entire screen. Cool. I never saw that the whole time I've been doing this. Okay. Now, what did I want to make mention of here? Do y'all remember? I don't know how I just did that. What just happened there? Do you guys remember? I did a workshop last summer talking about laydowns. You remember I talked about how many different types of laydowns there is, and so this came into full play on this particular trip with Nathan and I, talking about fishing laydowns. I'm talking about straight up full play. It was all that's all this trip was about, was really fishing different types of laydowns. You know, remember, if you can't put it in the chat, let everybody else know that you listen, and tell me about the different types of laydowns that I talked about. There's at least 3 that I specifically mentioned. So with laydowns, you got laydowns that are obviously attached to the bank and they lay down on the bottom, right? You got those. And then you have laydowns that suspend. So they're attached to the bank, but yet they hang. And so there's water underneath, like a bass can get on and like hang under it like a canopy. Like it's just a little hovering over the top of them. And then you also have laydowns that are just pushed up, almost like something just washed them up on a flat, up on a sandbar, up on a shallow part of a creek. You know, you got all these different styles and types of laydowns. And listen, you need to pay attention to that. All the wood and all the laydowns in your body, that's not the same stuff. Just in the same way when you're fishing grass, I know some of my northern buddies here in the app, y'all fish weeds. That's just like me saying, oh, you just go out in the weeds. They're always on some type of weed. They're always in the thickest or they're always in the thinnest. Same thing with laydowns. There will be a certain type of wood structure that those fish are on. And it played out better than I ever seen it before, more obvious than I ever seen it before on a small scale. It worked out so good. Mike, can we go to that first video clip? What was it, like 6:30? I don't have that pulled up on my computer, and that could take a minute to pull that up. Or maybe I could. Let's see. Actually, I probably could. I don't know if you get audio from mine or not.
Yeah.
It's about 6:30. Is that what I said?
You
got it?
Rocks,
Okay.
things I want to cover water with, reaction baits. Isolated targets like laydowns,
few seconds
stumps,
early.
bushes.
Okay.
And then I'll use my pitching baits.
All right, let's just pause it right here. Pause it right there. That's pretty. I want to show them. So y'all see all of this stuff in the background?
Some of my little favorite
right there. You see that log jam? Can you pause it right there?
Yeah.
Right. Or is it still going? It's still going.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So you see all that stuff in the background there? This is exactly what I'm talking about. I promise you guys, if you'll go back and watch the vlog where I fished with Brian Barty's rod back in July or so last year, this is the exact same area that I fished. It does not look anything like this. The water was low last year. This year it's about 4 to 5 foot higher. You see all these bushes. Look at all this stuff in the background. Look at all of that down there. Look at all that down like just to the right of my trolling motor. All those bushes. Look at all that green stuff. Willow bushes. It's bank grass over here in the back. It's all kind of stuff everywhere. Okay, so with that being said, what's the most isolated thing that I could fish given the circumstances that I'm fishing? There's going to be stuff that's pushed up on sandbars, on points. All right, Mike, hit it right before I catch this one. Let's just hit it just a few seconds. You'll be able to see this lay down when I'm fishing. This would be a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Right there. Stop it right there. Okay, y'all see all of that stuff there in the middle? What it is a hot spot in the middle of the river, and all that trash just blows up around it. Okay, you got to pick this stuff apart too. So what happens, I can tell you this is the kind of stuff that you want to be looking for and fishing for when you go in these rivers and stuff wherever you live. And what I've noticed this, I fish with people all the time. You know what the number one mistake that people do when I say, hey, fish these laydowns? They go to something like this, they make 4 or 5 casts with a spinnerbait, and they keep on moving. Oh, well, they ain't on that. That ain't anybody ain't on that. You made probably a pitch right here. Mike, can you screen share me there? Or no? No, let's see. Yeah, it probably won't work. You make a little pitch right by this part right there. This kind of, I don't know, this high piece that you can see a lot of wood out of. And then you go over here, probably make about 5, 6 casts. Listen, y'all, and I'm not kidding you on this. I could spend 30 minutes on that. I legit could spend 30 minutes on that. I could fish that all pieces everywhere. I'm seeing a lot of work going on there. Is that on my end, Mike, or no? That's you doing that.
That's me trying to see
okay.
if
It's okay. Don't worry about it. What we're doing is fine.
All right.
I can spend so much time fishing all of this right in here, all of that wood. You gotta, and there's pieces, keep in mind the water is stained. There's log jams and stuff all around there. That's just what I can see. And so I used 3 baits, and we're gonna get to that. I know Mac Toon was asking about, what I would be fishing, what baits and bait caster versus spinning, etc. I only had 3 on my deck that day. I had a crankbait, a Texas rig, and a spinnerbait. Those 3 baits should get you through whatever else. There's some other stuff that you could use, but the other stuff that you could use that and catch the same fish 90% of the time. Could I catch them on a buzz bait? Potentially. Could I catch them on some, I don't know, whatever you can think of that you like to fish? Probably. But I know I can catch them on a Texas rig, flipping some type of plastic. I know I can catch them on a spinnerbait, and I know I can catch them on a crankbait. Why didn't you throw a chatterbait in that mix? I hate fishing a chatterbait around wood because they don't do nothing but turn over and snag. Spinnerbait's better. I know that pisses some people off. Well, I catch more 10 pounders on the chatterbait than I've ever done. Good. I'm proud of you. Spinnerbait's better. You can clip this and put it on social. I said it. A spinnerbait's better than a chatterbait. It's more versatile and low key. It's just better for this situation. Okay, those are the 3 baits I'm going to use. I picked this apart. I done already made 15 casts before I caught a fish. You can hit the play now, Mike. Let's walk through this.
Some of my favorite stretches right in here.
All kind of little lanes in here that you got to bring your bait through.
There he is. That's a good one too, bro. Got it? Yeah. Finally, a good one.
But just pulling a spinnerbait across that. Looking for the lanes, looking for holes, looking for any little cavern. Those fish won't move very far.
God, he's fighting. I mean,
They won't move very far this time of year. So you got to pick it apart. You cannot go to those laydowns and make 5, 6 pitches and say, well, they're just not on it.
Trying to show the world what it's about.
And furthermore, there's only going to be so many pieces of wood that's set up this way, so there's no need to burn through it.
That big. Matter of fact, I'm a boat flip. I thought I was going to have to get down to get him. I'm a boat flip you.
Depending on where you live in the country, that water may look yucky to you or very good to you. I mean, from the south, that water looks good.
I was on a spinnerbait. That's a little 2.5, 2 3/4 size. We went a long time before we got a bite today, though. But I can tell you exactly why I'm not getting that many bites today. It's pretty simple. When you're up in these river stretches like this, it's very, I was telling Nathan, it's very temperamental. I'm gonna put this fish back in the water. Very temperamental. It has a lot to do with water level, how much rainfall you had during the year, water clarity. And right now, the water clarity is fine. The only thing that's a little iffy, a little sketchy right now is the water level's actually high. So you're probably thinking, oh, Brian, the water level's high, it should be good. There's more stuff in the water. That's exactly what's working against us a little bit in this situation. Because a lot of stuff that we're fishing right now are pinch points. When you're in these rivers, you know, you go miles and miles and it's just bushes, there's trees, there's willow trees, there's rocks, there's all this stuff in the water, just stumps. This is a log jam I just caught this one off of. And so when the water's high, all of that stuff's got water on it. The fish can get in all of it. So the limited population of fish that's up here in these rivers are dispersed amongst all the structure that's out here. That's actually working against us. It sounds great.
Okay, Mike, we can stop it right there. I think that's
like,
a good
I got all these things to fish.
Talking point. We can stop here. Are we going? Somebody asked if we're going to get a Jerry tonight. Okay, so I was making a very, very, very important point right there about the pinch points. Pinch points can be something that you need to focus on too in these rivers. That pinch point was actually a bridge. It could be like a creek mouth, anywhere where the current is going to be condensed. Is what I'm talking about. Am I confusing anybody with that verbiage? Anytime you've got current and the river gets smaller, it has to go through something a little tighter. Current's condensed. Those are going to be places you want to fish right now. That one was a bridge. You know, I was fishing around a bridge. Pinch point. It got real narrow and it's in a turn and it had the hot spot with all that wood there. That's why we're fishing that. Let's see. So Mike wanted to talk about the baits that I use. I don't think there is a section in there where I talked about baits. Let me look at that, Michael. There was a section I did talk about baits in this. I didn't send you that timestamp, but I used basically 3 baits. I just talked about it. I'm gonna tell you the setups that I use, and we'll look at a few more clips so you get a good idea of what you can look for. That was a really exaggerated version of what I'm fishing. The next one are going to be the next fish catch you see is going to be a lot more realistic. Like you can barely see this above the water. So you saw that rod there. You was asking about the rod. There is a clip in here where I do equipment breakdown. That rod was a 7-foot rake, medium. I think it's a medium heavy power, 15-pound test, Guro Bass Mooch line, a Guro fluorocarbon. That spinnerbait is a 1/2 ounce double tandem willow brim colored spinnerbait. And let's see, Mike, I'm gonna pull it up so you can. I do show that spinnerbait. I do want them to see that, which one it was. It's a brown, like a brim colored spinnerbait. So let's see. We go to about, I think it's right here. Because I got Nathan. I caught 2 on here. Let's go to about 19, at 1915 mark. You can see that spinnerbait. I got it pulled up now if you want to do my screen share, Mike.
Should be showing.
Is that
What
good?
you were looking for?
Yeah, you see. Yeah, Matthew Dennis talking about the drag. Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely open my thumb up on the drag there. Mike, am I good to just play this now? My screen share, or you
I've got it queued
might
up.
be gone
You
right
want to
now.
play? You want to play some of that, or
I got it pulled up. Yeah, or maybe it does see it. So that's what I use right there. That brim colored spinnerbait. That's a Purple Demon, Z-Man Purple Demon trailer. I have a spinnerbait kit on the website, shopbelot.com. I'm pretty sure I put that spinnerbait in it. I only put what I have on there. But I put that spinnerbait right there. When I fished the James River, I haven't put that vlog out yet. I caught almost all of my fish at the James River on that particular spinnerbait. I didn't retie anything. I just retied. That's all I did. That spinnerbait. So I like the tandem willow. I actually broke this one a fish later. I usually use a tandem willow. I was out of them at the James River because there's spinnerbaits have a shelf life. Once you catch a few fish on a spinnerbait or bang it against enough docks or wood or whatever, you need to not throw it anymore. Because if the wire breaks, you'll lose a fish off of it. You will absolutely lose a fish. If that wire breaks from hitting too many logs or catching too many fish or being bent too many times, it's going to break and you'll lose a fish. So I'll throw those spinnerbaits away. I got kind of low on the numbers in the boat. So I had to start using this Colorado Willow combination. I'm not crazy about, but it worked. It worked. But that's a good picture of what the spinnerbait looks like. Purple Demon trailer, brim colored with gold blades is the setup there. We can go to next. Let's see if my thing, I can just do it so I caught this piece of wood right here is more like what y'all are probably going to experience and what I want you to really start paying attention to looking for. Okay, so you see that right there? Look at this piece of wood. I think y'all can see me full screen. Let me go full screen here. Okay, you see that piece of wood right there?
let me swap it over
That
real quick.
is all it is. You see all these laydowns over here that are pushed up against the bank? I didn't catch nothing on that. All that stuff, all that around the bank. This is even a huge boulder right there. I don't know if you can tell, but that's actually a rock. All of that's a rock. And I didn't catch anything on that. The only thing I catch fish on is this right here. That's all. That's all you need to look for. Any little thing pushed up against the wood. Can you see that? Am I doing this right or no? I think I still got it on screen share. That's all you want to look. So I'm gonna hit play now.
Yeah,
I see it working now. It's a little bit lagged on the app. Okay, so I'm gonna hit play now. You'll see this is exactly what you want to be looking for whenever you go fishing. It's a little breakdown I was giving. See, and The first cast is always the most important cast. Just throw the spinner bait up there. This one actually bit it a little ways off of the piece of wood. This is another bite. So that's all it takes. Doesn't look like much. And keep in mind, here's the thing about this. All of this came about. We didn't have but about 4 hours of fish. Nathan had to go. He's going on a trip. It was 102 degrees. I didn't want to be out there all day. We had about 4 hours to fish. First 2 hours, we didn't get any bites. And as soon as I started doing this is when we started getting bites. Okay. Now, after I got that bite, now I'm starting to understand, okay, leave that stuff on the banks alone. All you need to do is find that pushed up stuff, a crappy brush pile, a log pushed up on a sand flat. Any of that stuff that's detached. That's when it started to hit me what I need to look for. So then I roll up and look, I saw this right here. You see all this wood? I saw that right there. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be there. Like you can even I think when I was commentating, when I was talking to Nathan, I was like, there's gonna be a fish on that. There's gonna be a fish on that. And so same bait, I didn't change anything, same bait, same spinner bait, everything. Nathan was throwing, I think, a Texas rig or a shaky head right here. Well, you hear what we're saying. Oh, it should be one right there.
Yeah, the audio from your screen share is not coming out, just so you know.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go back here. Let me go back to my big screen here.
Hey Brian,
You can see. Yep, I got you, Mike.
the when we do the screen share, the audio from your video doesn't come through. So if there was anything critical,
Okay.
y'all were talking about,
Okay, gotcha. I thought it was coming through. I thought I was.
you're hearing it on your computer, but
That's all.
it's not
Okay,
getting
it
pushed
doesn't
to
get
me.
through. Okay, perfect. So, by then, we already figured out what it is, and at that point, you're just moving around. This is the part that separates your average weekend fisherman versus your higher level fisherman. One bite could happen on anything. Two bites, now you got my attention. That was the third bite. Now it's time to put the action in the plan together. So at that point, I'm not fishing anything else. I'm not worried about fishing all these laydowns and bushes and stuff surrounding the creek arms. I'm literally going to each one of these little bays, bayous, and looking for things that are pushed up in the middle. And we started doing that, and we got bit the rest of it. I had fished all of the bays that were in that little area. If we had more time, I would have went to a different stretch of the lake and did the same thing. And you look to duplicate those things over and over and over. Now, I want to answer some questions that come up in the chat. I didn't really see a lot of questions, but I did see some conversation. There's one thing somebody said something about it's so hot that the fish won't bite reaction baits, which means you really basically just said exactly what I tell you that the fish don't really do. It's just as hot now as it was last week or 2 weeks ago when it was Nathan. The fish are not reacting to the weather, to the water temperature, the way that you are, the way you're thinking. They're not thinking it's hot, I'm not going to move. It's a cold-blooded animal. He's metabolizing more because it's hot. He's consuming more food because it's hot. In the wintertime, they don't move, they don't metabolize as much, and they can just sit there still and not have to eat. He is going to eat and move his brains out. Now, when that happens during the time of day, because they have a longer period of day to do that, is extended. In the wintertime, you have shorter period of daylight. So things aren't quite as active. They're not as active for as long. Now in the summertime, you have daylight at 6:30ish. It's darn near 10 before it's pitch black dark. Let's just say 9. No, let's just say 9. What is that? That's 15 hours of daylight. And so if the feeding window is only 2 hours, 3 hours, you still have more time of not feeding in the day for most of us that's when we're fishing. So don't believe that the fish won't bite reaction baits because it's warm. You just saw me catch them on a reaction bait when it's warm. That was the bait. I flipped those laydowns and could not get a bite. Flipping. Could not get them to bite soft plastics. That doesn't mean on your home lake that flipping may not be the better deal than the spinnerbait right now. But flipping is going to be the best deal because they want something flipping. This flipping is not going to have anything to do with it being too hot. They're not reacting to the weather in the way that you do. Now, what y'all are hearing is, a lot of times when I say that, what people say is, listen to me. When I say bass do not react to the weather the way that you do, what you hear oftentimes is bass don't react to weather. They do. They do. They don't react to weather the way that you do. They absolutely react to weather. They absolutely react to warm water. They absolutely react to everything that's happening. They're just not reacting the way that you react to it. They're not going to be lazy because it's hot. They're not going to not move because it's hot. Where they live, where they eat, how long they eat is affected by weather. How deep they go, how shallow they go, wood, rock, laydowns, all of that affects where they do the eating and the attacking. And that makes them move, but they don't react to it in the way that you think as a human. Please remember that. Because I know what's happening. You're thinking, God, I go outside, I don't even want to cut my grass. So I can only imagine what a bass wants to move around at 93-degree water temperature. He's not reacting to it that way. He does not get tired like you do. The bass are not in the water saying, I need some water. I'm dehydrated. I need a sun hat and some sunscreen. They're not thinking that way. That's not what's going down. I know we have to get out of that sabotaging cycle of thinking that way. That's not what's going down. Only thing they're looking for is where the heck can I survive the best at? That's it. Where is the food at now? It's hot. Where's the food at now? It's cold. Where's the food at now? That's all. Think about to the first part of this conversation when I talk about why are the fish primarily not that deep this time of the year? Because there's no food deep because of the oxygen depletion. That's it. If you can find me a lake that has food and 50-foot water, there will be bass there, i.e. the St. Lawrence River, i.e. Lake Champlain. You know why those fish are deep in the summer there, up north? You got oxygen there, and there's food there. If you live in the southeast, there ain't no food there right now. On the west coast, most of your food is going to be shallow as well, because that's where most of the habitat is. It's where all the grass and where the weeds. Most of your fisheries on the west coast, some type of grass fishery. All your structure is going to be shallow. Most of the fish, most of your largemouth bass are going to be there. Okay, let's look at this. I want to look at the comment section. If you got a comment, if you got a question, I want to get that in the chat right now. so I can address that. We talked about, I saw Mac had asked earlier. I gave you one of my setups. I got 3 setups. You're going to see this. If you watch the video, I put up another video of my 3 favorite creek fishing baits for summertime fishing. It's on the app. You should go look it up. I want to tell you what they are now. If you want to see what they are, go look at that video. Or could somebody maybe post it in the comments section for me now? I guess I could, couldn't I? I guess I could do that.
We'll lose the link once we end the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, put that in the
I,
comments section.
I'm
Somebody.
taking notes. I'll make sure that gets on the repost.
Okay. I got 3 baits that you can start off with. It's not limited to these 3 baits. These 3 baits will put you in the right realm. I could go to North Carolina and catch fish on these baits right now. I could go to Virginia to the James River and catch fish on these baits right now. I could go. It's the same stuff that I use at home as the same stuff I use at James River. You need 3. Get your Texas rig with a lighter sinker. 3/16, no bigger than a 1/4 ounce sinker. 4/0 hook. Get you a straight shank flipping hook. Get you offset worm hook. Get you 20-pound test line. 7.2s to 7.4 medium heavy power flipping rod, or just fishing rod. The one I was using was a 7.2 rake medium heavy. I'm gonna say that again. Your number 1 rig that you're gonna use. Grab this. You're gonna go creek fishing in the summer. You need a Texas rig. You need a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce sinker. You need a 4 or 5/0 offset hook or straight shank flipping hook. You need 15 to 20-pound test fluorocarbon line. Don't talk to me about copolymer. Don't ask me about no nanofield. Don't ask me about no braided fluorocarbon unless you fish in a kayak. If you fish in a kayak, you probably should go braided fluorocarbon, but I prefer not to have braided fluorocarbon. I just prefer. Fishing a kayak is a different story because you need that leverage to be able to catch up with fish. Go for braided if you fish out of kayak. 7.2 for you fish out of kayak. 7.2 is a bigger rod. Get a 7-footer. You need that. You can just flip things that you see. The second rod that you're gonna need a crankbait, square bill crankbait. That day I had one called a midge on. It's by Bass Mooch. I've caught them on the RC15s before. Get you a square bill crankbait. Get something that dives 2 to 4 foot. All right, you need that. What your line is gonna look like: 15-pound test line, fluorocarbon line, 6'10", no bigger than 7 foot, medium moderate rod. Prefer graphite composite rod, which means it's glass and graphite put together. Something soft. 6/8 to 1 gear ratio reel. That's your second combo. Your third and last combo is going to be the one you saw me catch most of the fish on in this particular vlog. It's going to be a 7-foot medium heavy, 6/8 to 1 gear ratio reel, 15 to 20-pound test fluorocarbon line, half-ounce spinnerbait. I don't care what color you use. It don't matter, really. I like that brown one. It's on the website, shopblat.com. I actually have a spinnerbait kit on there. Buy that kit. It's got the brown. It's got the chartreuse and white, and then something else. I think there's 3 in the kit. That's it. You take those 3 baits. I don't know anywhere you can't catch a bass on those 3 baits right now. If you don't believe it, I'll go do another vlog with it next week. But most of the time, people don't watch the vlogs; they watch the lives. So I've been doing more lives because that's what you like the most. So take those 3. Those are the 3 baits you need to use. All that was casting gear. I don't see any reason to have spinning rods for any of this yet. I haven't found it to be profitable for me. What questions we got? I'm gonna answer a few questions, and I'm gonna go get me something to eat. All right, let's see. Let me get back to the live here. Mike, did you see any questions in there? I didn't see any really.
So I just dropped an answer to Christopher Bowman was asking about a breakdown for Lake Fork. So I wrote that down as well. I'll make sure to remind you.
So, all right, Chris Bowman. So this is what we need to do. I know you've been here in the app quite a bit. The lake breakdowns, And we can do one on Lake Fork. But keep in mind, the whole purpose of that series on doing lake breakdowns was to show you the process of breaking down any lake. So the things that you would look for, the process of finding fish on Lake Fork are going to be the exact same as finding fish on Clarks Hill, on the Mississippi River, on what's some of the other lakes that we did. We broke down a ton of lakes here in the app. And that process, those things that we look for on every single one of those lakes is the exact same thing that you want to do with Fork. And so for the lake breakdowns, let's say if we were going to do that, you would take that process. You would find out what the most abundant structure is. You would find out what the fish eat. You would look at internet material, look for research on tournaments, look for fishing reports. You would find all that stuff, bring it back to us, and then we would dissect it and see what would be, come up with a plan from the things that you found using that criteria, using that process. Because if I just go to Lake Fork and then start coming up with ways to fish, that is not going to help you. There is 2 million ways to catch fish on Lake Fork or any lake, except for the St. Lawrence River. It's all these different ways to catch fish. And so what you want to have is a process that you use for every lake, every day of fishing. Because if you went to Lake Fork, if you go to Lake Fork now versus when you go to Lake Fork in October, the same things don't work. And so you have to break the lake down over again. In all actuality, listen to me. If y'all don't listen to anything I said about breaking down a lake, every time you go fishing, it is a lake breakdown. I don't care if you know the lake or not. I do not care if you know the lake or not. Every time you put the boat in the water, it is a lake breakdown. You use the same process with those same modules over and over and over again. That's why it has to be simple, so you can do it not even having to think about it. It's almost second nature for you to think, for you to look at a lake and see what's the predominant structure there. It's almost second nature for you to start watching what the fish are eating, looking at the fish when you get one aboard and seeing if he's got something in his throat, or looking in your live well, or just studying the internet to see YouTube videos and fishing reports and tournament results. It's going to be like second nature for you to just gravitate to that stuff. That's why it's got to be simple. But every freaking day you put your boat in the water is a lake breakdown. Just because it's new, just because you haven't been there before, that's not the time to start breaking down a lake. Every fishing trip is a lake breakdown. You think Clarks Hill Lake is new to me? Do you think those areas that I fished in that video is new to me? It's not. I'm 42 years old. I caught my personal best at 10 years old at Clarks Hill in a tournament. Over 30 years ago, I've been fishing that lake. So if I'm 42, probably since I was 5 or 6 years old, I fished Clarks Hill Lake. And I still had to break it down. And if you look at this video tonight, I really pretty much did the exact same process. I didn't outline it. I didn't outline it the way that I do in the modules here in the app. I didn't outline it like what's the most predominant structure and what are the bass eating. I didn't outline it that way, but if you really listen and pull back the covers, that's exactly what I did. I fished around. I know that the oxygen there's more oxygen in the back of the creeks than there is on the main lake. So there's going to be a group of fish that are in this moving water, or more oxygenated water in these creeks and rivers. So that's going to have more bait and crawfish and brim and panfish activity. So I go there. on that merit alone, knowing there's going to be more food there. I get up there. What's the most predominant structure up there? There's laydowns. It's nothing but wood structure everywhere. There's a little bit of rock, but not much. There's only one place where there's rock, but it's mostly wood. So we know there's going to be wood, fish on wood. What kind of wood should we be fishing? Well, I fish around the laydowns around the bank and I not get bit. I start fishing one out in the middle of the lake. I get a bite. Uh-oh, that's information. The whole thing tonight was a lake breakdown. And you can take that same process. Look at any of those breakdowns that we did for 9 months now. And it's the same thing over and over and over. Take that to Lake Fork. Take that to Lake Fork. Go do some research on that place. You probably already fished there, it sounds like. Go look at those things. What does Lake Fork have the most of? I think it's standing timber. Guarantee you there's some fishing, some standing timber on Lake Fork right now. Okay, what baits can I use in standing timber? Fill in the blank. What are the bass eating on Lake Fork? Fill in that blank. Now you got a really good start of where to go when you go to put the boat in the water to Lake Fork, just on those 3 things alone. Then you start looking at fishing reports. Then you look at the Bassmaster Elite Series. Then you go back 15 years ago and you look at the Texas Toyota Bass Tournament that they had there on the internet. And you start seeing those guys dragging Carolina rigs on like road beds and stuff. Now you really got a good place to start. That's how you do a lake breakdown. You take that process every time you go fishing. If you only do it when you go to new lakes, you won't get good at it. When you consciously do it every single tournament, every single day, every time you think about a lake, you use that same process. It becomes second nature. And listen, not only do you do it before you put the boat in the water, when you're home, you get to the point where you're doing it during the day while you're on the water. So you broke down the lake and you fished some stuff that you thought was going to work. It didn't work. You break the lake down again. So from 8 to 10, I broke down the lake. None of that worked. From 10 to 12, I break the lake down again. Maybe that worked. Well, then I duplicate it. Maybe it didn't work. Then I break the lake from 12 to 2. I break the lake down over again. And the reason the pros and the reason the best fishermen are the best fishermen, because they do that. They can do that in 30-minute intervals all day long. Break the lake down again. Break the lake down again. Break the lake down again. Very simple. But take that process and break down Fork. Brian Barr said, are we setting up an SUF booth at ICAST? I will never set up a booth at ICAST, my friend. There'll be a lot of places I go. ICAST will never be one of them. It makes no sense to do ICAST booth. It costs probably about $70,000, I bet, to put up a booth there. Not sure I would do the classic either. We may do a show. I got to look at the schedule. We may do a show in Ohio next year. May do some of these other trade shows, but I will never have a booth at ICAST. I apologize for that. What size worm do you prefer from Kenny? So I was using the old monster in that video you saw. I like big worms this time of year. Nothing under 7 inches. 7, 8, 9, 10-inch worm. I like the 10-inch worm. I use the Mag Fatties too. I think a Mag Fatties is over 7 inches, 7.5, something like that. How are you doing crankbaits? So MacToon asks, how are you doing crankbaits in bottoms that have decomposing matter? I wouldn't do the crankbait. I think what you're probably referring to, Mac, is sometimes you get those bottoms that have that slimy, snotty stuff on the bottom. There's going to be 2 ways that I would approach that. If I'm fishing somewhere where the bottom's snotty and I'm getting a bunch of snot, number one, there's going to be a better bait to use, i.e. the spinner bait. Typically, if the bottom's snotty, that means the fish are not going to be in the snotty bottom. They're going to be suspended in the laydowns, in the grass, around the timber, around the standing stuff, around the boat docks. They're going to be suspended around that. So something else is probably going to be better. A topwater, a spinner bait, a chatterbait, a crankbait that doesn't hit the bottom. Furthermore, especially with a shallow diving crankbait, since it's on such a short cast, I can manipulate the bait with my rod tip. I can keep it off the bottom if I need to. I would stay with the same square bill. I don't really have a wide range of crankbaits. I got 2 or 3 square bill. Let me take that back. I have thousands of crankbaits, literally, and I fish like 4. I'll even tell y'all what they are right now. I catch a lot of fish on the RC 1.5, and I don't mean when I say a RC 1.5, I'm not talking about a knockoff. The real deal. This year, since I started working with Bass Moosh, they have a little square bill called a Bones. I did use the Bones at Kissimmee earlier this year, but I got to learn the capacities. And you take a bait, and sometimes you just know what it's doing. And so I'm learning that bait right now. I use a rock crawler a lot. Both of them, the big one and the small one. I have some handmade plugs that I use a lot that dive like 2 to 5 foot. That's about it. I have thousands of crankbaits, and crankbait is the thing that I think I do the best. That's about it. There's some others in there. Fritz-side 5, I'll throw that sometimes. That's it. That's all I got. What weight? Half-ounce spinnerbait. Fred James asked what size spinnerbait that I use. I use a half-ounce spinnerbait for everything. I only use 2 size spinnerbait, 1/2 and 3/4. When you throw one versus the other. 3/4 when you need to get deeper. 1/2 when I don't need to get deeper. Simple as that. Let's see what else we got here. Just going through these questions here, and then we'll jump off. John Wilson, what size worm on that 10-inch hook is 4 or 5/0, John? So Mac Toon says, so do you not need bottom contact on a crankbait to be effective? No, you don't need bottom contact with a crankbait for it to be effective. There's times of the year when that is the best way to do it, but no, you don't need that. You might want to run it into that wood that I was fishing, but no, you don't. You don't have to have bottom contact. I'm about to go to the St. Lawrence River and throw a crankbait for I hope 6 days. The crankbait will never touch the bottom. That's different because it's smallmouth fishing. There are a lot of times where I do want the crankbait to be hitting the bottom. Most of the time that's winter time. This time of the year, I still like for it to be hitting the bottom, but it doesn't have to be. I do like for that to happen, but it doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. But in the situation you brought up, Mac, where there's some nasty bottom, I probably wouldn't fish a crankbait. If I kept getting sniped, that's not the bait for me to use. It's just not. That wouldn't be the right one to use. Let's see. Did I miss any, Mike? You see any other ones?
No, I think you got them.
So Brian Barty asked about a spinnerbait at dawn and dusk. No, a spinnerbait when I need it daytime. It's not daytime reliant. I don't worry about time of day. I think that has always been my issue with the moon theory people. And I've tried to figure this out, and I'm very open to still learning about this. If my tournament is Saturday, I don't give a dang what the moon is doing. The moon is doing what the moon. I can't do anything to change it, and I have not seen, like, my tournament is between daylight and 3. I'm going to fish my butt off between daylight and 3. It doesn't matter what the moon does between daylight and 3. They'll be like, well, I noticed all my big ones come on the new moon or 2 days after 2. I might have something else to do on the new moon 2 days before. My tournament was not on the new moon 2 days before. So it don't matter for me. I got 4 hours in my schedule to go right now. I'm going fishing. I don't give 2 nuts what the moon is doing. So I think that's why I have such a closed mind towards them. I want that to work so bad. I know, Barty, you wasn't talking about the moon, but it just made me think about that. I want to see the correlation so bad, and I never see it. With the daylight thing, time of day, with these creek fish, it's actually better typically in the middle of the day. I didn't even ask Nathan to get there at daylight. We started at maybe about 9 o'clock. Those fish in the creeks, they live there. They're there. They're there. If he's on that laydown, he's there on that laydown all day. No matter what the sun's doing. No matter what, it don't matter. He's on that stuff. So I don't really worry about time of day, and I don't worry about the moon since I brought it up. Let's see. I think I got all the questions here. I don't see anything else. Yes, sir. Bobby Barrett swears by the moon. I can't. Everything's context too. If you're a fisherman, that you can pick your days, and you can go around weather patterns and stuff. Some of that stuff's worth paying attention to. Let us know. Why don't y'all practice it? See, I want to see it. When I talk to people about the moon, it's almost like religion. You just got to believe it. Like, and if it's like, well, you got to prove it. They're like, no, you just got to believe the moon. I'm like, yeah, but why? They're like, well, because that's when I catch it. And I'm like, but yeah, but what does it do? Because that's when I caught my 10-pounder. I'm like, but what did it do to the fish? Nobody has answered my question yet. And so I can't figure it out. I can tell you what happens when it's cloudy. I can tell you what happens to fish when it's windy. I can tell you what happens to fish when it's cold. I can tell you what happens to fish when it's hot. I can tell you what happens to fish when there's a lot of pressure on the lake. I can tell you what happens to fish in so many different weather conditions. I have not been able to fill in the blank for moon. I have not been able to get anybody else to fill in the blank for the moon. They just tell me you gotta believe. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not true. All I'm saying is nobody has yet to be able to give me an answer. Nobody's ever been able to give me a straightforward answer on the moon. They just tell me with the spawn. Say the big ones come. Well, why do they come? What does it do to them? What is happening in that fish's body with the moon that makes them spawn during the full moon? If that's the case. So I have tons of evidence that they are not spawning, that they spawn before the moon, after, during sometimes. So I'm sorry. I'm looking for it, and I'm open to it. I want to change my mindset on that. I'm waiting for that day. I have not had that happen yet. Okay. Let me know what you guys think about hosting a live next Monday. Is it worth it? Here in the app, I love to have you bring an item. Listen. Yeah, time too. Listen. This is it worth it? Is it not about bashing products? The whole point of this exercise is for us to give our families something that they could go and buy and use that would help them. So while it can be like, hey, this is not really what it's supposed to be, that's not the point. The point is to get something like, this helps me, see if it would help you too. It doesn't have to be a bashing project, but it could be. Maybe there is something you bought and you're like, man, I don't like this. It's not what they said it was. That's cool. But just don't let this turn into, if we have 15 people on the live, man, don't let it be 15 of y'all talking about this sucks and it ain't no good. Please just say, like, look, I've been using these tungsten sinkers and I like them because they're extra black. Like, it can be that simple. I've been using this line because it casts really well, it's affordable, and I don't get many backlashes, and I think it's really strong. Here's where you can buy it. That's what this is for. Don't let it, this is not Don't do that. Let's not go down the road of negativity with is it worth it? If it's something that's worth it, bring it. If it's something you bought and maybe it's not worth it and you thought it was going to be worth it, just bring it. But just don't let it be on one side, is all I'm asking. Okay? Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm going to be at the iCast show tomorrow. Sometimes it works out good where I can film a few things. Sometimes that doesn't work out good because I'm talking a lot more than I need to, more than I want to. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If I can get some content and I can pop in here on live and do some stuff, I will. I might not be able to do that, and I won't. Okay? The day gets away really fast in there. I know that sounds good. You talk to one person, you talk to 10 people, and talk to 5 people before you know it's time to go eat dinner. So I'll do the best I can there. I do have some other work. We got roundtable on Thursday. I think I have a live schedule for Friday before we go to the next tournament. Okay. Hey, how are y'all doing in the tournament too? I should have asked about that. I think the tournament maybe ends next. Is it this week or next week? I'm not sure. Anyway, hope y'all are catching them up in the tournament. Good luck. I like that rule, Barty. Barty said for the roundtable, if you bring one bad thing, you got to bring one good thing. Let's just not let that be a negative. I don't want that in the app. I don't want that. That's my pet peeve. Yeah, if you bring one bad thing, you got to bring one good thing. That's all. You say, man, I think, gosh, doggone, I don't know, Z-Man sucks. But then you got to bring something else that's good. Tell us what is good. Or what's better. Or why you like the other thing better. Okay, guys, I'm going to get dinner. I've been on a plane all day. I'm going to go get some dinner at 9:30 and get up, work the show. I appreciate y'all tuning in to the live today. Y'all have a good rest of your night. Thanks, Mike.
See ya.